You can start recording. I gotta always do that, okay. So welcome everyone to the Town of Olive Town Board meeting for Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. We are on Zoom and I'd like to welcome everybody. We have a really nice presentation coming up this evening from our Boyceville Visioning Group, and we have lots of stuff on the agenda. Very exciting agenda tonight, very lengthy. So let's start the meeting off by having the Pledge of Allegiance. We can stand or sit, whatever you like. David will put the flag up, and let's see, who's Drew, you want to start us off on this?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
of the United States of
America,
and
to
to the republic
for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands,
one
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 nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
All right, thank you, everyone. Dawn, will you do the roll call, please?
Board Member Bogus,
I'm here.
Board Member Kelder,
I'm here.
Board Member Edinger,
I'm here.
Board Member Reed,
I'm here.
Supervisor Sefranco.
I am here. Okay. Board members have all had the chance to look at the January minutes and review them. The minutes for January 2022. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Make the motion to approve the minutes.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So approved. Thank you. We received, I did want to mention that we received a nice thank you letter from the Russo family expressing their thanks for the comfort and healing that the town provided them in their recent losses. So that was very nice to receive. Thank you, Amanda. We also, let me just get this off the plate before we go into the Boyceville part of it. I did want to update people on Nuvance who weren't at last night's meeting. The Nuvance Medical Facility in Boyceville has sent out a notice to all their patients that they are closing their doors on March 7th and relocating their medical practice, centralizing it over to their Woodstock office on Xena Road. And I received a letter from them explaining how great this was going to be for all their patients, although I would strongly disagree. And also for their reasoning for leaving that was based on the lack of ability to get staffing. It goes on and on. We are looking for, we are doing a lot of outreach in the community to try to find people who would be interested in investing in the area and outside of the floodplain to provide us office space, either in Olive or in the western part of Ulster County. We hope to be able to attract another medical facility to make medical care a little bit more accessible in our town. So I'll leave it at that. But we do have this fun presentation for some people who've been working very hard in Boyceville and doing some really great work. And it's been a joy to watch this unfold before us. It's really great, and it's really great to have our students involved on Laura. They are so enthusiastic, and they give us a fresh perspective on things that we might not see. So I want you to know that how much we appreciate that. So I'm going to turn this over to Cynthia, and she can. I believe Cynthia is going to take us through this.
Actually, it's going to be a group effort.
There you go.
Karine is going to share her screen. So welcome, everyone. We just wanted to give you a bit of a recap of where we are, what we've been doing since the December 2nd public meeting. how we have been synthesizing and incorporating the community's comments and those of about 135 students into creating some concept plans and vision plans for the 4 flood buyout parcels in Boyceville. So we're going to kind of walk you through a little bit about, what we've been up to for the last couple of months, where we are and where we plan to go moving forward from here. Okay, and the students will be presenting as well. And so will Karen. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. Kathleen, can you advance? Okay, great. So as you know, we got a lot of wonderful input at our December 2nd meeting. We took all of the ideas and put them into a Google spreadsheet. We had, where we could, names of participants with their particular role, the things that they liked about Olive, which was one of our first questions, ideas for activities, challenges that they foresaw in sort of making these changes happen, and questions that they had sort of about the future and about the project going forward.
Cynthia,
Yes.
that is very blurry on my screen. I don't know if there's any way to make that a little more legible. I don't know if it's blowing up too much. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know
Yeah,
if it-
Can't read it.
yeah, I think it's a screenshot. I mean, it's not really meant to be right, but yeah, we should we do it better for the next one. It's just that
Okay.
we can't translate it. Sorry about that.
I didn't know if it was just me.
No,
So-
it's not.
No, it's a little blurry. I mean, we can certainly send this to you, but this was the way that we sort of consolidated all of the ideas. This is pages and pages and pages. And what we did with these, you will see that the ideas that came out of this are basically, we took all of these thoughts, we went through a process, an iterative process that we will show you of how they went from this Google spreadsheet to a Miro board to design concepts. But we documented everyone's ideas. I guess that's the most important thing. We have this information so people can say, wait a minute, we didn't come up with that idea. It's like, yeah, it's here. Or what about my idea? Well, we missed that one. So this is sort of our way of doing due diligence and documenting all the concepts that we have as our sort of background information and method rationale for the recommendations that the students have made. Next slide.
Okay, so next, by the way, I'm Sophia, but next we created a survey and like a little short video to show our classmates. We did this just to like increase excitement about the project and just kind of give more information to our school. And here we compiled like the most the most suggested ideas from our last board meeting, and as you can see, our most liked ideas were outdoor movies, food trucks, flea markets, but I think most of them were pretty popular. Like everybody tended to like most of the ideas. That was nice. Next slide.
Hello, I'm Isabella, and this slide is basically based on the community feedback we worked on to create and brainstorm possible plans for the land and the different lots we had. This phase consisted of playing around with different ideas that we had as well as the community had, which is the ideas would work better on certain lots and the land we had to work with. And these is just showing the few slides that we're going to show you next of the different lands and some of the ideas we had. The picture also displays us meeting with different people just to express different ideas and see what everyone thought about the project. Next slide, please.
All right, so in the December 2nd meeting, we did a whole section on ideas from other communities. What could fit on these sites? What have other towns done with similar sorts of parcels? And what is the realm of the possible? Getting people to kind of think creatively outside the box. So this next set of slides are basically illustrating the precise ideas generated from our community and the students in terms of, from that huge sort of menu of opportunities and ideas, what are the things that really kind of stick to the wall? What is it that people really wanted to see? So we're just going to go through a few slides here showing again the ideas that were most popular in terms of outdoor play, and for children, for youth, creating sort of a multi-generational kind of family-friendly set of public spaces. Next. What is our next slide? A lot of ideas for how to activate these parcels on a temporary basis, perhaps weekly or monthly, with things like pop-up markets and festivals and art fairs. These are also opportunities for economic development, for providing opportunities for local entrepreneurs and makers and crafters and creative people of all ages to display and share their wares, but thinking about these places sort of as creating kind of a community marketplace on the sites. And we'll show you what goes where in the next phase of this. Next. In the spring, summer, fall, and winter. These were some of the thoughts that we had come up with originally that were then reiterated and reinforced by the surveys and input from our workshop participants. Next. All right, Kathleen has dropped off. Let's see. I guess you get the idea, Karine, we're not really seeing your pictures advance.
I see it says activities at the water's edge. I think she skipped it properly.
Oh, there we go. Activities at the water's edge. Yes, this idea of a boardwalk, of trails, of connecting these sites to the Ashokan Rail Trail, making it possible for people to kind of get out into the creek a little bit more, especially at the Stuckey site. We're not saying this is what things are going to look like, but these are the kinds of ideas that people came up with that we think might actually work in these spaces, and that will draw activity and draw attention to the creek, and really preserving that sort of sense of quiet and solitude and kind of connection to nature. So nothing too big, things that are like kind of small, where a small group of people could go and enjoy the creek, kind of making sure that it stays, the scale of it is conducive to our town and what we want to see there. Ideas like outdoor fitness classes, story time, these are more of the programming ideas, not so much related to a particular design, because outdoor fitness classes and quilting and sewing and knitting and story time can happen now. The library could start doing that now. Yoga teachers could do that now. It doesn't require any infrastructure, just sort of a system about getting permission to use the lots. But these are some things that we'd also kind of be self-programming, where people from the community or our local stakeholders or institutional partners like the library or the Reservoir Food Pantry would the idea is that they would take an initiative to produce these events. Because the best public spaces are self-programming, where people bring their own toys and do what they want to do there, and they don't need a lot of infrastructure. Next. Sorry for the delay in the internet. Mine's a little slow too.
Yeah, I think it's just on your end. It's coming up fine for us, for me at least.
Okay, great. Outdoor movies was very popular. We went away from the idea of drive-in movies because we want people to be able to walk and bike as well as drive if they have to. Some sort of a structure that was open on all sides. That could be a multi-use platform for concerts or dance performances. So whatever we do build that would be open and allowable, we want it to be a multifunctional sort of facility. We really need some decent bus shelters, and this is a conversation with UCAT and some of the funding that hopefully they'll be getting from the state, not just to have bus stops, by the school and in front of the IGA, but to make them, eco-friendly, maybe with a green roof, maybe with information about the history of the site, something that really kind of helps to create a gateway and make it a self-interesting, welcoming place for people to disembark. And also looking at bike parking, you know, how we encourage people from the trail to ride their bikes over here into Boyceville and then provide them a safe place, you know, to leave their bicycles while they're shopping or attending an event. And like that. Next. And of course, a mobile health center, if we can't have Nuvance, maybe we can have, you know, blood mobiles or testing or some sort of mobile kind of health center as a temporary, you know, on the site, whether it's a trailer or just regular, you know, regular health services, but in sort of a more mobile kind of a unit, but continuing to use the Nuvance site there as a place for health and wellness. We'll talk a lot about dog parks, and we're looking at how you combine dog parks with other kinds of elements. The pavilion we spoke about needs to be open on all sides, but that would provide shelter and seating, picnic areas, looking at how we sort of maintain the riparian edge and the edge of the creek to support, you know, to keep it from eroding, but also make it usable. And how we can sort of make these spaces, which are not that large, do double duty, where they serve children as well as adults, as well as families, as well as young people. So how we kind of co-locate activities in these spaces to kind of make it really easy for a family of 4 to spend, you know, an afternoon there. We also were talking a lot about the Lenape culture. And if you see in the lower right, there's the Lenape Center that is working in New York City about, they actually did a project in Union Square where the new pavilion, this glass pavilion and over the restaurant in Union Square is designed in Lenape cultural aesthetic. And it is the turtle, because we are all on Turtle Island. So we're thinking that in the future, some of the design elements could reference back to Native American iconography, cultural traditions, and design. Next. That's about it. Is that the last one? I think it's my internet slow. Okay. Yeah, all right. And outdoor education, not necessarily outdoor classrooms, because we realized and learned that that really wouldn't be feasible for a teacher to, by the time they took the kids outside and got them set up and got them back in, the class would be over. So these would be sort of outdoor environmental classes or projects or clubs that would meet maybe after school or on weekends. There could be watershed education classes. We'd love to see a stormwater streetscape project along Route 28, leading from the 28A intersection up to the proposed crosswalk near the school, rain gardens, etc. But a lot of interpretive signage and ways of making these spaces sort of educational. By being in them, people learn more about local ecology and the watershed. Great. I think we'll turn it back over to the students. I think that was the last slide. I'm not sure.
There is another one, actually. I can take it from there, Cynthia, if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Thank
is
you.
like the local food-related uses. And so it's a way to kind of integrate a prenatal garden and edibles in every lot. Like, you know, it's part of a design. And as soon as, you know, you can integrate some shrubs and trees and plants, then you have an opportunity to create food and also education. I think the education and the food is something that we talked a lot about, and do demonstrative gardens, some orchards, and have a place for education and gathering. So that was also part of it. And you're going to see this in the development of the design. So we wanted to show you like how we worked. It's called Miro board. And so the idea is like it's a virtual board that we can all share, which was great because we're all working from different spaces. And so we had collected all the data from different meetings we had, from the surveys, from like all the different sessions we have. So it's kind of like our process board where we go back to it and always refer to, you know, what was community wanted, you know, for this site. So we have it listed and we always go back to it. And we do some sketches from here, and you can just see, like, you know, it's very documented. We get some inspiration from other projects that we also posted here. So this is our working space where we all gather and exchange ideas and design and so forth. So as you can see here, for example, was a process in which we added like all the photos of the different activities that were selected, and also like some comments about it. And this was like the way we started to kind of figure out what activity, programming, and structure could work well in the space. So this is to share a little bit with you, like how we came up with the design you're gonna see next. So this is like our sessions. And you can see there's lots of drawing and riding around, and also like being so close to the site is a great way also to go back and forth and to test a little bit of, you know, some ideas to see how it could work. And yeah, it's a great team. We're like so happy to work with them. So these are like the 4 lots we've been working on. So just to give you like a little overview. So we have named them to make references easier. So we have the willow lot and the picnic lot, that's like the smaller lot, and the small lot actually across the street, and the creek lot. So these are the 4 lots that we're going to be developing in this design. So on this one, you can see this was the idea of like, how do you create connection? How do these sites work together? Like, how do we make it like for pedestrians, for bicycle, and kind of like leave the car, you know, on 28 and just like reclaim the space for local use? And how from the school you can access a different site and make it relevant, you know, to the student and also like to people who come here, and how to, all these spaces eventually, you know, will connect to each other. So these are like, you know, some like conceptual design about like a network of trails that could be like used for bicycle, for pedestrian, for like, you know, like different uses. And you see, like we try to kind of like have like this cross walk on 28 to kind of like space it to make also like the like, you know, like the use of the car a little less relevant and more like aware of like, this is a town with people walking around. There's not only one, you know, one way to cross, but there's like many ways and you have to be careful.
Okay, so now we're going to show you our ideas for the lots. So this is the Willow lot right in front of the Maverick. Okay. So here, we thought that we'd use like this big gravelly area to our advantage. You can see it's shaded in like a lighter gray color here. So in that gravelly area, we were thinking maybe a picnic area off to the side, flea markets, food trucks, parking would probably be very convenient here. And you can also park there and then walk to other lots from that lot. And the good thing about having things like that there is because you can just drive in, unpack your things, and it's pretty convenient. Deeper into the lot, you could see in like a lighter orange color, we want to have a stage, maybe like a band shell there, and maybe like a screen for outdoor movies. In front of that, we would probably have seating for concerts and anything else like that, maybe outdoor dances. Also there, we could have story time. And then off to the side in blue, we were thinking maybe a climbing platform or some sort of play equipment. we were talking about like the intergenerational spaces, and we think that like if parents are watching a concert over there, maybe kids would want to play and just have a little bit more interest in the space. And then also off to the side, we were thinking pollinator gardens would bring in some life and some color, and also just good for the environment. And then also in the corner here, all the way up where the cursors almost, we were thinking an eco bus stop. People can be let off there and enjoy the little festivities. Next slide.
And this slide demonstrates the picnic lot, which is actually the smallest lot that we have. And for this lot, we really wanted to use, even though it was a really small size, we still wanted to use it to our advantage and use it the best way we most possibly could. And what we thought and the community thought is that it would be great to have a picnic area with grills right next to the road over there to kind of separate it from the climbing area and the play area or a tire swing. This way they could be separated from the road, which the cursor is right now. And then the rectangle is represented a flexible court, which can be multi-use for volleyball, basketball, badminton, and other sports. And this could also be just used as a play area in general. And all around the border of the picnic lot, we would love to do some pollinator gardens or maybe even some edible gardens just to make the place more lively, and maybe even include some informational signs just to add a little bit more education for kids that might be at the climbing area or just playing around or having fun with family. Next slide, please.
Okay, next we have the small lot, which is funny because it's not our smallest lot, but next slide. That was right behind the IGA, by the way. So here we were really thinking some sort of garden area, just because the terrain is pretty moist and it'd be pretty good for planting things. So here we were thinking raised beds to plant vegetables, flowers. We were thinking orchards, maybe blueberry, apple, that's like the details, but some sort of fruit. We were also thinking an outdoor sink. It's like yeah, right there. That would really help with like demonstrating things and teaching people about the actual food that we're growing. And if we're gonna have a demonstration space, it'd be really convenient to have a place where we can possibly cook or clean or those types of things right there. And then in the center where you see a little yellow circle, that would be like our gathering space. People maybe would come eat there or just sit down and relax, and we'd probably have a fire pit maybe. And then behind there in the larger orange triangle, not triangle, rectangle, we were thinking a dog park. It would add a little bit of interest to the area, and it'd also be like a nice way to get the community all together. And then towards the front, we were thinking a storage shed would be helpful because there's a lot of little supplies that we would need a space for. Next slide.
Yeah, and I just want to add also, Sophia, like the idea in this lot is to have the lot fenced in. And also that's the reason we gather like these two activities, like the raised bed and the dog park is like they're all gonna need a fence. So it's a way to kind of like have two activities, I mean, separated, but still using like the same protection.
Okay, yeah, next slide.
The last slide we are going to be talking about is the creek lot. This slide demonstrates some of our ideas we had for the creek lot. Start off with where the pavilion used to be. We would like to rebuild a pavilion structure. This way there would be shelter in case of rain, so activities still could be held. Then right alongside of the pavilion, we possibly would like a bike rack. This way, if anyone was coming along from a trail, they could rack their bikes and enjoy the activities we had going on. And then also represented by the circle, maybe we could have some skate park elements. This way, if anyone was interested, they could participate in those activities. Then going down to the creek, we would like to add maybe some viewing or fishing platforms, as well as a riverfront overlook, some platforms, maybe even some bird watching, just lots of different fun activities so people can have fun and learn more about our environment. And also maybe including a boardwalk that connects the platforms to the land. We'd also like to include maybe some informational signs or watershed education, just to spread more learning and information to kids or anyone that would want to learn more about the environment in the area.
I think this is it.
Yeah, so that is where we are to date so far. Our students are continuing, this is a new semester, but Ameline and Sophia and Isabella are committed to sort of continue to work on this. We are looking to refine some of these images and designs and then present them back to the community. In April, I think we decided was the best date based on the town schedule and all the other things we have going on. It's really to kind of report back to them. This is what you told us. This is what we heard. This is how it might look. What do you think? So it's not necessarily presenting them with a final concept plan or design. It's more of an iterative process to say, this is how far we have gotten, to this point. Did we get it right? And also to generate excitement and enthusiasm amongst people to sort of say, well, let's go out and do something. Let's do some experiments over the summer and in the spring. Can we do some planting? We know that Richard DeRuvo from Onteora High School and the Eco Club are interested in doing pollinator gardens. Can we work with them to sort of actually perhaps use one of these sites to get something like that going? So it's really not about creating a final plan or concept or solid design. It's more about an invitation to the community to sort of jump in to help activate the spaces and making it possible for them to contribute to creating the things that they want to see there. So whether that's, let's get together one day and people got tools and lumber and we're going to build some raised beds. Kathy Carey's saying, yeah, let's do a yoga class there. And then finding ways to make sure that, they get permission. There needs to be some sort of a way of sort of figuring out how we give people permission to use the site in some sort of, unless it's just like, I'm just going to throw a Frisbee and they don't need permission. But it's looking at how the sites can be activated experimentally over the spring and summer to figure out what really works, what goes where, and then sort of figure out what we need funding for in order to make some of the permanent infrastructure investments that we're not talking about obviously a lot of construction, but purchasing tents and building a pavilion and the things that might take a little bit more money and time, and to sort of see what's going to be successful in those spots. The school has committed to do another year of this work, another after-school program, a club, to consider looking at more sites in Boyceville, working with more students, and ultimately perhaps sort of kind of linking them all together. These are also the DEP lands potentially, as well as some of the other sites that may be entering the buyout process, to sort of really create a much more sort of holistic sort of vision for the hamlet. And we have completed our work with the Nature Conservancy. We did sort of a final report out to them and to our other cohorts in Edgemere, Brookhaven, and Sydney about what we've learned from them and what they've learned from us, which is working with students is the way to go, basically, was one of their big takeaways from our work. But, we do need sort of additional funding to do full design development, measured drawings, perspective renderings, having meetings with UCAT to see if, they've got funding for the bus shelter. All of those sort of feasibility elements are sort of in the next phase of this project. So we are open to questions, comments, thoughts.
Well, that's great.
work
We
so
really,
far.
it's a lot of nice things in there. I really applaud the efforts and really, the process of taking the time and going out in the community and hearing what people are saying, hearing what students are saying. I would think that at some point you want to take a close look at the restrictions on what is allowed and not allowed in there. I think we have to get a better definition of that from the DEC as to what those easement restrictions are. I don't want to get too focused on one or two aspects of this that we all like and find out it's not feasible. But some things may be if we can find the right design for it. So for instance, a surface, I'm not certain if you can put an impermeable surface in that floodplain. So it might have to be a surface that's pervious to allows water to flow through it so that it still acts as a floodplain and does the job it should do to absorb water. Those things I think need to be looked at a little bit so we don't go too askew on it. The temporary things, I love the markets and the band shell idea. Wherever we locate something like that would be great. The old Stuckey building, I'll check in with that and see if they'll allow that floor to stay there, but I severely doubt it. But again, these are things that we have to work within the confines of the easement restrictions. But otherwise, all the other elements, there's so many elements there we can play with around those that it's really exciting. Anybody else?
I'm impressed with the work you did. It's very, very good work. Very good ideas. A lot better than I think the town board would have come up with.
Yeah, you guys did great work.
Yeah.
Really great work. And thank you.
Okay.
And you're
Yeah.
welcome. Well, it takes a community to build a place, and it takes a place to create a community. So we don't have the answers. We have experience, but we know how to get the answers from the community and the people that we want to benefit from the space, and we want to have them use it. So.
Yeah, I also like that you were thinking forward. We've mentioned that New Vance is moving out of Boysville, which is going to trigger and we're going to talk about it tonight about moving forward with that buyout on that property. So, this is an evolving process and expanding and in a sense, giving us, experiencing loss, but also giving us opportunity.
Well said. Great. All right. So,
All right. Anyone else? Any questions, comments?
Yeah,
We're ready to move on.
All
Thank
right.
you, Cynthia.
thank you all for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
and Support.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll speak soon.
Nice to see you all. Yep, thanks.
All right,
Thanks.
Cynthia.
Thank
Hi, folks.
you.
All right, that was exciting.
Yeah.
All right, getting on to the business at hand, let's move right into the budget modifications. We received the ARPA funding and had resolutions to allocate that funding towards certain things. So these budget modifications reflect that. Number one, I'll make a motion to do it all and ask for a second at the end of it. The motion to increase the special fire district budget for approved ARPA bonus funding, which was resolution number 33 of 2021, $3,000 SF 4089.000 federal aid, other revenue, 3,000 special fire 3410.400 fire protection contractual expense, to increase the budget ambulance budget for approved ARPA bonus funding resolution number 33 of 2021, $5,000, AO 4089.0 federal aid other revenue, $5,000 AO 4540.400 ambulance for expense, to increase personnel services for approved ARPA bonus funding resolution number 34 and 36, $14,406, which is an AO 4089.0 federal aid other revenue. And that breaks down to $373 to AO dash 1110.100 justices for personal services, $1,500 for AO 1220.100 supervisor personnel services, 1500 AO 1355.100 assessors personal services, $650 to AO 1410.100 town clerk personal services, 1500 A0-1460.1 records management personal services, $650 AO 1620.100 buildings personal services, $8,853 AO 3120.100 police personal services, $750 AO 5010.100 superintendent of highways personal services, and $250 AO-8010.100 zoning personal services, and to increase personal services for approved ARPA bonus funding resolution number 35 of 2021, $12,011, DA 4089.000 federal aid, other revenue. That breaks down to a 1,800 to DA 5130.100 machinery personal services, 10,000 to $10,211 to DA 5142.100 snow removal personal services. I see Marlise is on here. Oh, there she is. Hi, Marlise, you're muted. Do you want to just give before I get a second on that motion, you want to just give a very brief explanation of all that?
Absolutely. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. I've got my AirPods in. So essentially what's going on here is the ARPA bonuses right now, or I'm sorry, the ARPA funding, I should say, is recognized as a liability of the general fund because we've received this money, but it's unearned revenue. So as the expenses are incurred, I need to recognize that revenue in the period that the expenses occur. So what you're seeing is, as Jim so nicely read off for us, a lot of our general fund and our highway team has received their ARPA stipends. And so I need to recognize revenue in that amount in order to be in line with our accounting policies.
Very good. Any questions before we get the second on the motion? Okay, can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Thank you, Marlise. That was wonderful.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night.
Okay.
Bye, Marlene.
Bye.
Can't ask any more questions about the budget transfers now. Marlise is leaving. Highway Fund. I make a motion to transfer $28,710 from Reserve A equipment to DA 5130.2 machinery equipment. That is for the purchase of the truck that Brian got on Auctions International, I believe, right, Brian? Can I get a second for that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Okay, approve the payment of the audited bills. You all had a chance to see those bills. I make a motion to achieve pay the audited bills that you've all seen. General fund vouchers number 11 through number 69 for $215,741.67. General fund prepaid voucher number 70 for $690. Highway fund vouchers number 3 through 26 for $52,946.75. special lighting voucher number 1 for $59.36, and fire district voucher number 1 for $3,000. Can I get a second to approve the payment of the audited bills?
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now we've got all our resolutions and motions coming up. I did want to just I'm thinking about how we're going to move forward, especially with the, looking at the sewer district coming up in Shokan. And rather than make the resolutions and vote on them and have the public weigh in at the end, I thought it might be good to start it a little different in the procedure here to have the public be heard before the resolution votes so we can get those opinions. It seems to make a little more logistical sense to me. So at this point, I see there's a few people out there. Does anyone want to weigh in on additional business that is on the agenda?
You mean aside from the sewer discussion?
All of the discussions that are in the agenda, including the resolutions for the sewer, are going to be voted on after this public be heard. So if you have a comment on them, now would be a time to let your opinion be known.
But I mean, do you want to have that now, or are you going to do the other stuff in the agenda first and then do that?
No, I'm going to do the whole thing. I'm going to go through it. So now's the time to be heard. We're not going to go through and comment on and have a back and forth on each vote. We're going to have the comments now from the public so we can hear if you have an opinion on them.
Well, I had.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I guess I feel like we have made like all of those letters that we sent with all the gazillion questions and thoughts that we had on it. And
let me interrupt you 1 second. Can you identify yourself for the meeting?
it's Allison.
It's Allison Irwin, right?
Yep.
Hi, Allison. All we see is a phone number up here and a voice. We need to have the public record identified. So go ahead, ask your question. I'll answer it as best I can.
Do you mean like from the questions that we asked in the letters?
So what this is this is the beginning of a process for the sewer district, establishing the sewer district and establishing a sewer use law. We are at the very, very beginning of this. And what will happen is we need to pass these resolutions to schedule public hearings on those issues. And what I did, we met with CWC, Lamont, and Young Summer law firm last night, and laid out like how this process unfolds and what we need to do. In any normal, like passing a law or amending a law or creating a district, you would put the information out there on your website, you'd schedule a public hearing, you could comment on it, and we would vote on it. Because of a lot of the response I got from you and others was that, hey, what's going on? We'd like more information. So what I suggested was that we slow the process down. We pass these resolutions to schedule the public hearings, but we also schedule a public information hearing coming up on March 22nd so that you can be heard and you can have your questions answered with that entire ensemble of people from CWC, Lamont, and Young Summer there to answer your questions. So no, this isn't the time that we're going to answer your questions. It's the time that we're scheduling those meetings to answer the questions.
So I'm not sure, like, I definitely have comments, but I don't know what comments you would be wanting at this time if they're not all the comments that we wrote in the letter.
The comments in your letter were shared by the board, and they will be answered in the meetings where there's more information. So you have more information at these upcoming meetings to comment on and question.
Well, I mean, you guys are talking about, and I don't ever do this, so pardon my not knowing this, but you're talking about like laws for the Boyceville sewer thing versus laws for the Shokan sewer plan, and I sounded like you guys had like created the law for the Shokan sewer plan last night or something.
Well, no, the law has been being worked on for months by the legal firm. So, it's kind of a funny situation in that, like, if you want to have a project, any kind of thing, you've got to start somewhere. And, we've got to start with the law. We've got to start with, this is the district we have to know what we're talking about, and that has to be identified. And we're so early in the process that we're just starting to get that together. We know that we have this map district. The map district actually changed a month ago or a couple of weeks ago by adding another property in it. So the whole mapping changed. So as this evolves and we get to a point where we feel that we actually have something concrete in which to discuss, that's how we can move forward, and that's how we can answer questions. If we're just talking about general, why do we need a sewer district? Those questions
No, there wasn't that. There was, just things like I had asked, is the secret thing you're talking about for the property, for the thing across from Longyear Road that is going to be for the, for the processing system. And
Right.
I asked, did you guys buy the property already? Because I saw in there that they said that they had given permission to do that pending the negative blah, blah, blah of the seeker, blah, blah, blah. I mean, those kind of things we were saying, how far, because you're saying it's like so early in the process, but then when you look at the minutes and everything, it looks like you're already buying property and setting up seekers and pursuing the law, and you've got a map, and, they've already sprayed things on the ground.
Right. No, I hear you. And what I'm saying is that, so the way that process for the property worked out was, you can't go out and say, here's the properties we're looking at, because everyone is going to raise their prices for this. Everyone's going to look at that project and say, so that was done in a way where they looked at the district mapping, they came up with several suggested properties, and they made an offer on one. And they did that so that they would not have escalating prices in the properties and speculative, pricing. So they acquired the property. It was the best property. And now what we're looking at is we have to do a secret on this property. I don't know if they've actually, let me go back. I don't know if they've actually signed the contract and paid the money. I know they have a contract of sale, but I don't know if they've actually finished that sale.
That was the $200 or something, or 200K.
Yes, and this is the secret that we're looking at in resolution number 4. And the secret is saying, you have to establish, if you're going to do a secret, you have to declare an agency to be the lead agency. And we are declaring ourselves, it's a town, we're going to be the lead agency. This isn't the secret. This is just us saying we're the lead agency in the secret. And then resolution number 5.
Does the secret go all the way down to, you guys look at it, and then it goes down to Ulster and they look at it, and then it comes back to you, kind of thing?
That's a question for them when we get to the lawyers and the people that do this more than I do. I believe you're correct, but I'm not entirely certain.
Well, I thought with the storage sheds, they had done the storage sheds where they went down to Town of Ulster, and Town of Ulster gave their input, and it was a whole process thing, not just like looking at it from the Shokan point of view.
Allison, I think you're thinking of the county planning board on the storage shed things, not the Town of Ulster.
The Town of Ulster, well, Ulster County, whoever does the Ulster County seeker kind of things, they had said that they had actually rejected the plan for the storage sheds, but that was, so I'm saying, is this thing here going to be something that's a Shokan, a Town of Olive thing, also involving Ulster County planning or whatever?
I don't know if it will be involving Ulster County planning, but there will be, whatever agencies have to be notified for the seeker are usually notified and weigh in. But again, this is a question that when we have the public information meeting, you'll get better answered by people who are experts at this rather than me kind of figuring out along with you.
And there's a difference, Allison, there's a difference
Drew
between the
Drew
seeker.
has been on the board, right? Haven't you been on you were in the planning board, weren't you?
Me? Yes. And I'm also on
Yeah,
the county.
so
But let me
he's the guy.
But let me try to explain. There's a total difference between the seeker for a project and what I'll call the site plan for a project. It's possible that the county planning department would be consulted on the site plan for the for the wastewater treatment plant. They might be talked to, but I don't know at this point whether this being a municipal project, whether we're required to go to the county planning board or not. But I'm sure they'll be
Did
involved.
they do it for the Boyceville one?
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest. But like I said, there's a difference between the seeker review. That's an environmental review for the project, and the actual, what I'll call the site plan for the project. They're kind of separate things that
Yep.
you have to do.
Are you guys doing the long form, or weren't there like
Oh, yeah.
the 1-page checklist thing, and then there's a whole other
Again,
more
that has to
involved one?
be, that's yet to be determined.
Okay. And do you have like things like the Boyceville Sewer District law that you can show us so that we can see when you talk about the law, what that really means?
So the Boyceville Sewer District Law is in the town code. It's embedded in the code. And it's online. If you go to the town code, you can find it in there. And what they did was they utilized that law to create this law, but they had to kind of fashion it so that the two were together, so they complemented each other. And that law, the proposed law, is on the website as well.
How do you find it? Do you just write Shokan Sewer law?
I would go down to the bottom and to the search engine and write Shokan, or you know what, I would write sewer use law. That would be the best way
Okay.
to find it.
Okay, that'll make more sense.
It's also,
Alrighty.
it's very lengthy also.
Yeah, I'm
The town
sure.
code, town code is at the top of the website. And if you go through there and there's an index, you should be able to find the sewer use law.
The existing one for Boyceville.
That
yeah.
was
The existing one
existing.
for Boyceville.
And when you guys started, you had it set up that it was going to be like Boyceville and Shokan together. What made you guys? not
That
we're
was
not
a
happy that we're
decision
not
by the law
processing
firm,
Boyceville.
and they felt it was in the best interest of the town and the districts to keep them separate for legal reasons.
Okay.
And again, if you know, if that's of great interest to you, we'll have the law firm here on March 22nd to answer that.
So the people on March 22nd, are they going to have more detailed? I mean, what people are seeing is like they're talking about that, you know, a 12-foot swath of trees coming down in between the houses and, you know, on Ridge Road, and 16
So-
trees coming down to put this thing here. And like there's this feeling of we have no idea what you guys, I mean, you must obviously, not you, they must obviously know pretty much what they're going to do, but like they're not wanting to say or something, because the guy that came to our house said, you know, we really can't talk about it.
Right, because it
Better-
changes. So my point would on that would be that, and what we talked about last night with them is they said, you know, we're going to be able to tell you the general broad layout of where the lines are going to go, what easements will be needed to cross property, but we're not going to be able to tell you down to the detail of like your exact house and where if it's going to disturb your garden or not. You know, they're going to give you a broader picture in the whole layout of that. Those details on each individual house are not completely known yet. So that
Well, I
information
guess
would be,
there are the concerns about that kind of thing. Like, for example, with my house, we had our septic system, our tank, you know, done with the CWC, you know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. So it's pretty close to the house, and, you know, our cement steps that go up to our second story are like right next to that. And, you know, when they did actually say, the people that were here say, you know, like it'll probably go out the back. And we're like, well, if it goes out the back, it's going to have to go out and like within 3 feet make a turn. But then our steps are there. So like, so like, you know, other people have had similar concerns. They're like, well, if it goes out the back, then it's going to have to go around, and how it's, you know, like, is anybody willing to discuss that kind of thing with people?
At a certain point, I believe that those details will emerge, but I don't think they're known throughout the whole district as of yet.
I don't think they're anywhere close to that fine detail in the design yet. They're still working on the design. I think it's going to be months before.
Well,
you
I mean,
have that
like
kind of
in my
detail.
case, it's like it's if it goes out the back, what they're saying, like how are they going to do that? That I'm not going to end up with, you know, yuck in my basement because my thing overflows because it's like got 2 feet and then it makes a turn and then it makes a turn and then it makes a turn and then it goes to the road. You know what I mean? I would feel much better if I had some idea. And then other people were told, you know, well, it's going to have to go, you know, through underneath your, in through your basement, and you're going to have this machine here to make sure. And it's like, what? So people, I mean, that's what people are, you know, they're like, why would I have to do that if I have a perfectly good working system now? Why do you want to make me do that? There's concern and unease.
So as far as the details, I don't think they have the details of exactly your particular situation. Maybe, you know, that will, I would imagine that will merge over time. But I can tell you that from our conversation last night, and I don't want to go out on a limb here because I tend to get this wrong and because it's very complicated, but there are state requirements for septic systems, state requirements. And if you don't have enough land, if you don't have enough setbacks off your land to meet those requirements, when your system fails, you're going to be stuck if you don't have the sewer system, if you're not in the sewer system. And that the smaller the parcel and the more, you know, and depending on the terrain and the rock and things like that underneath it, you could be talking about a very, very expensive remediation for a problem. I'm seeing on the board of the CWC, I'm seeing projects. We had one the other day, I think it was $65,000 for a repair. So the costs are going up. The requirements by the state are going up. No matter how well your system works now, they have a shelf life. And
I
it
mean,
depends
well,
on
along those
manufacturer.
lines, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be cutting you off, but
Oh, sure.
I'll probably forget if I don't. Sorry. Like people were saying, I know, like not in my letters, but there were letters that other people had forwarded from some other, I don't really do Facebook, so they were saying the same thing, like we just got a sewer, like my sister, 2 years ago, they took down every tree in her entire yard to put down this thing that they had to have this far away, and they had to take everything down, so she has nothing now. And then you're going to say, okay, well, now we're going to give you a sewer, which will probably rip up the other part of her yard. So
I hear you. I hear you.
Why I mean, they're like, why do I have to do that? I just had it. It's 2 years old. The little trailer place down on Ridge Road, they just put it in April. Like, why would they have to do it? Is there some kind of, you know, timeline? One of the other girls, Jess, she said she just got it done like 2 or 3 years ago. Is there anything about that?
So Allison, let me ask you a quick question. When you had CWC do some work on your septic tank, I'm assuming you ultimately got reimbursed for all that work?
Yes, and that was why I say thank you every time I talk about the CWC.
So here's the situation we're in. Because this was basically mandated by, I'll say, the New York State Health Department, if we as the sewer district citizens were to turn this sewer district down and not do it, we would all be on the hook for whatever happens to our septic system. CWC would no longer be allowed to cover the cost. So your system may be fine now, but what if your field fails and then you have to repair that? That, in some cases, that's not even doable, much less the cost of it. So part of it is.
No, I see your point. But I do know too that Sylvia, I mean, like in all of the letters, it was like they they talked about how the town really, really, really wanted, I mean, was it the DE, who's the one? New York, when they say New York City, is that the DEP?
Yes.
DEP, yeah.
DP.
Yeah, so the DEP had, done their little study, and then it talked about how Sylvia Roselle said, no, that's not good. We want to have expansion for growth, and we want to be able to grow. And I mean, that's part of the other thing. Everyone's like, why do we actually, have to have all of this room for growth? Are you planning on growing Shokan into like huge place now or something like that, instead of the nice little place that we,
No.
like?
So
Keep in mind, when Sylvia wrote that letter, she wrote that letter about the same time DEP said, we don't think we want to do that. And Sylvia's letter was important. What really came out of the study that DEP did, where they said they didn't need a sewer district, the New York State Health Department said, no, you're wrong, you need it.
So, and the other part of that is, why do we need the growth? Okay. There have been numerous times historically on the 28 corridor where businesses wanted to change the use of the business and weren't allowed because it wasn't grandfathered in. And you can look at a clear example of that was when Al Higley had the vegetable stand in the old bank in Shokan. And he put in an extra sink to do donuts or something. And they told him that he would have to increase the size of the septic field, and it would be an enormous cost. Those are the regulations.
No, I do remember Judy's like 30 years ago, couldn't put an extra table in because of the same situation. But see, then
Right.
along those same lines, you let not you, I'm like, why did they let 2 gas stations with gas that will ruin water forever because of the cancer-causing things in it, right next to the reservoir, when they won't even let Judy put 1 table in? Do you know what I mean? Like, it just seems a little,
The thing about, I don't know the particulars about Judy's case, but I would speculate that they base the size of your septic field when you're a commercial business on the amount of tables that you have, anticipating
Yeah,
the
that's what
amount of
happened.
people that will be there. So when you look at Bread Alone, which is expanded in the Boyceville system, we're looking at them, and we're calculating what, recalculating what their use is, and there'll be an adjustment on what they pay, likely, if there's more use. But, they were allowed to do it. They didn't, it wasn't as a big of a deal. For Judy, they would say, you can have this many tables, but if you have another table, you are exceeding what your existing septic can take. And if you look at that lot, that lot's on the corner there with a parking lot. Where's the septic field for that? Probably under
Yeah,
the
who
parking
knows?
lot. So
Right.
those are the kind of situations that we find time and time again, not only in the commercial businesses in Shokan, but also in some of the housing developments where they're so close, where you have a house in, say, the Red Maple area, where you have a well and a septic field on the other side of the house, and then the next house has a well and a septic field, and they're very close together. And over the long term, the state and the city have come to the conclusion that that's not feasible because of the proximity and the conditions of the soil, et cetera, et cetera. This is I look at this as a thing that could help a lot of people in Shokan. And I just ask people to be patient and think about it, and think about what it means if your project fails, or if you wanted to add a second room. We've done things to encourage people to have long-term rentals in the town, and if you wanted to add an extra bedroom or something in your basement or something, you wouldn't be able to do it with your existing septic. But with a sewer district, there's that possibility.
Well, a lot of the people that I've talked to are, like that example you just gave, are more worried that the sewer system will promote people doing stuff like that, like coming in and building large things and, large long-term rental things, and large, like what's going to happen along Route 28 where all that land is, and,
Yeah, I mean, I
guess that's a
understand that. and-
Quality of life thing.
Yeah, yeah.
On the
There's-
other hand, Allison, if you look at the sewer district map, there's not a whole lot of vacant land in there to develop on in the first place. There's some, but not a lot.
Right. Ugh. I guess, I don't know. So is this March 22nd public hearing going to be in person then?
We are going to have that in person.
How are you
Unless something
advertising it?
Drastically changes.
Oh, I know, we
Well,
have another ice storm. That was horrible.
Right.
So will that be over where they, like, what road is that?
That'll
Whatever
be at
that
the
road
town hall on Bostock Road. Where
Oh,
the
Bostock,
police
okay.
and the town hall are.
And
at the
how are
meeting
you
hall.
advertising that? Because I
We
feel
will be
like
putting
now
it
there's
out.
no newspapers, there's no, I mean, like, can you put a little thing in all the libraries and then in all the post offices saying, you know, there's a meeting?
We will,
and-
we will definitely be doing a major, public outreach for that.
And this will be to inform us, and then after that, what happens?
What we're looking at, I was talking to them last night, is I'm going to work with CWC and have them make a presentation, like a PowerPoint, so that they can give like an overview of how this evolved and where we are and how the process will unfold. And then people can, open it up to ask questions and get a sense from the people who, CWC, Lamont, and the Young Summer have done numerous of the dozens of these, and they know the problems, and they know the public resistance at first, and once it's explained, they find that people are much more open to it, that they see the benefits outweighing the.
Can they, I mean, I feel like I sat and wrote down every single thing that I had, all these things we've asked, like, do I have to bring that with me and say, okay, could you tell me this? Or will they have that ahead of time so they can incorporate those kind of things?
Some of those questions that you ask may get answered in that. And, but I would bring that list. I mean, we kept telling you when you were asking the questions, wait, there'll be an opportunity. That's going to be the opportunity.
To the point of notifications, I believe everyone in the district is supposed to get a letter,
Yeah.
right? So that there would be the direct outreach.
Yes, that's what they said they were going to do.
Well, I was just suggesting too, that if you could put like something, I know like Michelle at the post office here will let you put things up, and all the post offices will let you put things up. All the libraries will let you put something up that says, March 22nd informational meeting regarding the new Shokan, blah, 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 bring your questions.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
I'll tell you, I know that if we don't put it up enough, you're going to let me know. So we'll keep in touch, you and
I'll
I.
help you put them up.
There you go. I'll take
I
your
will come
offer.
and get them and put them up for you.
Very good.
Anyway,
Let me move on though, because these resolutions are, like I say, just to set the dates and to declare us
Yep.
as the lead agency. So we
Right.
can't give you much more information, and we do have a lot
no,
to cover.
well,
here.
just the one thing here, the vote of you versus the vote of the people. That was the only other thing that people said to ask about.
That is something that we have not yet decided, but was, that option was put before us last night, and we're thinking about it.
Is there a process that we have to do to formally tell you that we'd like one?
You could, we can discuss that in later, but I don't want to say that there is a
if there's
process.
a process that we're supposed to formally tell you in a letter that we
Oh,
want to
there
do
is-
that, then
Let me go back. There is let's say we decide, you know what, let's just not go out for public referendum. Let's vote on it. We can vote on it. And if you don't like the decision of our vote, you have, I think, a certain period of time to go out and get a certain number of signatures on a petition that can require us to go out for referendum. And, we're kind of like on the fence about it, quite honestly, because I'd like that public information meeting to go out there and for people to digest this a little more and understand it a little better before they make a decision on it. And so, we want to get a tone, we want to get a feeling like how people feel after that meeting, I think, before we're going to decide whether we're going to vote on it or not. That's my impression.
There's a lot of good
Right.
information that was discussed last night that we, I think, haven't done quite as good a job tonight. And there will be a recording posted. It's already up on YouTube and we'll have it on the website.
Also,
I would
keep in
So
recommend
mind,
going
last
through that.
night's meeting is on the website somewhere?
It will be.
It will be. It's not
Okay,
yet. It
because
takes a while to
I think
process.
if you have information that like that, I mean, the thing is, there's all these things that you say that will be told, but somebody already knows, and if they could put them there so people can look at them ahead of time before the informational meeting, then that would be helpful.
Well, yeah, the
We could
sewer
use the
use
people
law.
that gave the presentation before, and they could put a,
Well, and once they have that presentation, it'll be available. Well, you know what? I shouldn't say that because it's going to be a live meeting and we don't have recording capabilities.
is that, well, that was another thing. I know that you had said, or Mr. Edinger had said that you don't record these things, but shouldn't that be recorded? So that the people that can't come out or something, or don't feel comfortable coming out, or can't make it that night can see what happened?
We don't have the capability for that. We don't have the
Well, there's
technical
people-
capability.
I can get you somebody. They will tape it for you.
You sound like my Uncle Charlie. I'll get somebody for you to do that. Yeah.
No, I know the people that do the Woodstock one and the Shandaken one, so.
You're always welcome to do that on your own and put it out there. We're a little bit reluctant to put it on our website if someone else records it. There's all kinds of legal stuff about it that we're not certain about. We've struggled enough with the Zoom meetings, and some towns are having these hybrid meetings and they're finding them hijacked and they have to shut down the meeting. Kingston had to do it twice, I believe.
No.
So, we're not
Like
there.
I'm
We're not-
doing, I apologize.
Yeah, it's tough. But let me move on, okay? Is there any
Okay.
other comments in public be heard before there's other people here, I said.
Yes, I would like to comment on the public alert law.
Yes.
Mary Ann Shepherd.
Oh,
I just wanted to, I saw that is on the agenda, that there's going to be a motion on a public alert system. I originally wrote a letter saying how important I thought this was. And I'd like to just reiterate my thoughts on that and say, I do support the town going forward with some type of public alert system. And I hope they will consider consider a company to do that.
Okay. Any other
what
comments?
is the public alert system? Is that just like a big siren?
No,
No, no.
Yeah.
Allison, that is I can explain that. That is something that we've been discussing about for years. Sylvia and I and the board were discussing it, years ago. And we never got around to doing it. The county was going to do something and it turned out different than what we needed. So what it is a public notification system. And what you do, it's a platform that you can set up in your government, and people can join, and they can join by a website, they can join by an email, they can join by a app on your phone. There's a lot of different ways you can join it, and the town creates a template of areas in which you can check a box and say, I want to be notified when there is any change in the softball schedule, or I want to be notified when that my children are at the day camp in the summer and there's a thunderstorm and they have to be taken home that day, earlier than normal. You can be notified when there is an ice storm approaching and what resources are available to you. And these notifications get put out by whatever way you select when you join up to get them. You can get voicemail on a landline, you can get a text, you can get an email, and you can get, I believe, a social media post. So there's a variety of different ways that it can come to you, and you get to select what information you want to have given to you. And the town then puts out the information. And because it's a public information alert, it's not like Facebook. It's not going to be on there every day. You're going to get alerts. It's going to be used very judiciously so that it's not, so people don't get alert burn from it and disregard it.
Right, gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what that is. Any other comments or questions?
I just want to say that.
That's Linda Werner.
Yes, Linda Werner. Sorry about that. I would like to remind the board that it keeps getting more and more expensive to initiate one of these programs. And I suspect that hopefully sooner rather than later, it's going to happen because we need it. There's a contingency. Part of our population is not getting information that, that would be helpful for one reason or another. I know the towns around us that have it. Well, I know of one town anyway, that the seniors love it. As a matter of fact, hundreds of our residents in the town of Olive are signed up in their town. I am myself. I get alerts and they can tell you when roads are closed. They can tell you where the warming stations are. I think it would be a real benefit to our town.
Okay. Thank you. Along those lines, just to comment on something Linda said that reminded me is that, we first heard about this when the town of Shandaken had it. And Joyce over there loves that system to alert the residents there. And when we first looked at it years ago, it was $1,200 a year. And we didn't jump on that. And they kept our pricing at $1,200 a year. After doing my research, I don't know how long she's going to keep that price because that's pretty, you can't get that anymore for that. And anyway, any other public be heard? Okay. We're going to move on to the resolutions. Okay. Resolution number 4 of 2022. The town of Olive seeking to be the lead agency in the secret for the Shokan wastewater plant. Let me just technical problem here. My paper clips. Whereas the town board of the town of Olive previous entered into an agreement. This is resolution number 4 of 2022. Whereas the town board of town of Olive previously entered into an agreement, the agreement with the Catskill Watershed Corporation to participate in the Shokan wastewater management program, which program will provide for the design and construction of a wastewater management project for the hamlet of Shokan. And whereas the CWC through the program will provide full funding for the wastewater management project through a block grant. And whereas CWC's consultant for the program, Lamont Engineers, has prepared a preliminary engineers report for the hamlet of Shokan dated September 2020, evaluating various alternative methods for managing the wastewater needs of the hamlet of Shokan, such report marking the end of the study phase of the project. And whereas the town has reviewed the preliminary engineers report prepared by Lamont Engineers, and whereas based upon its review of the preliminary engineers report in consultation with the town's council, the town board agreed to proceed with the pre-construction phase of the project as set forth in section 2.05 of the agreement, such schedule to be agreed upon by the town and CWC. And whereas the town board of the town of Olive seeks to commence coordinated review of this action and seeks to act as lead agency pursuant to the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, New York State Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8 and 6, and NYCRR Part 617. And whereas the town of Olive pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617 will conduct coordinated review and seek input from various involved and interested agencies on its designation as lead agency. Therefore, now be it resolved, subject to providing notice to and obtaining the consent of all other involved agencies, the town board of the town of Olive hereby designates itself as lead agency for purposes of compliance with Secra 6 NYCRR Part 617. The town board shall undertake and complete all duties and obligations of the lead agency as required by 6 NYCRR Part 617. The town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents for the town board on behalf of the town of Olive as may be necessary to become lead agency. Whereupon the resolution was put to a vote and the following results recorded and moves with its adoption. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Make the motion.
I'll
And a
second.
second? Was that David?
Yes.
Dawn, can you do the vote, please?
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
Yes.
Supervisor Franco.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So carried, resolution number 4. Resolution number 5 of 2022 for the town of Olive, a resolution for consideration of amending the town of Olive sewer use law and scheduling a public hearing. Whereas New York City provided funding for the Community Wastewater Management Program, CWMP, to be administered by the Catskill Watershed Corporation, the CWC, which is intended to fund the planning, design, and construction of community septic systems and/or the creation of a septic maintenance districts in the New York City watershed west of the Hudson River. And whereas the hamlet of Shokan, town of Olive, was identified as a community that lacks community-wide wastewater treatment, and whereas the town entered into the participating community agreement with CWC for the study, planning, design, and construction of a sewage collection system and wastewater treatment plant in the hamlet of Shokan, the project, and whereas in connection with the construction of the project, the town must amend its sewer use law to include the Shokan Sewer District. The amended sewer use law includes a sewer rent law specifying the sewer rate structure and a sewer allocation law defining the procedure for the town board to make decisions regarding future connections to the sewer system. And whereas the town special counsel has prepared the proposed sewer use law, it has been reviewed by the town board and now therefore being resolved that the proposed law is ready for consideration by the town board, and be it further resolved that the town of Olive will hold a public hearing for consideration of the proposed Olive sewer use law at the town hall in Shokan on the 4th day of April 2022 at 7 p.m. Persons may submit individually or by agent and will be given the opportunity to present oral or written statements and to submit other documents concerning the proposed sewer law. Whereupon the resolution was put to a vote and recorded as follows. Can I get a motion for resolution number 5 of 2022?
I move for resolution number 5 of 2022.
And a second?
I'll second.
Scott Kelder. And please take a vote, Dawn.
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Edinger. Dave,
You're muted.
Oh,
Oh, you're
Sorry-
muted, Dave.
Sorry about that. Yes.
He runs the meetings. He's allowed to do
Board
that.
Member Reed,
Yes.
and Supervisor Safranco.
Yes. Thank you. Town of Olive Resolution number 6 of 2022, a resolution scheduling a public hearing on the proposed Shokan Sewer District. So this is different than the other one. The first one was the law. This is about the district itself. Whereas New York City provided funding for the Community Wastewater Management Program, CWMP, to be administered by the Catskill Watershed Corporation, CWC, which is intended to fund the planning, design, and construction of the community septic systems and/or the creation of septic maintenance districts in the New York City watershed west of the Hudson. And whereas the hamlet of Shokan, town of Olive Town, was identified as a community that lacks community-wide wastewater treatment. And whereas the town entered into the participating community agreement with CWC for the study, planning, design, and construction of a sewer collection system and wastewater treatment plant in the hamlet of Shokan, the project. And whereas as part of the study phase of the project, the town and its project engineer established with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection and CWC that the town should create a sewage District for certain town residents located in the hamlet of Shokan Sewer District. And whereas the town will not incur any cost from the formation of the school sewer district, which cost is being fully subsidized by CWC through the CWMP. And whereas the project engineer and special counsel have prepared materials needed for the formation of that sewer district and has filed those materials with the town board for its review and consideration. Now be it resolved. 1, the town board accepts and adopts the following materials prepared by project engineer and special counsel with regard to the formation of the sewer district and directs that same be appended the minutes of this meeting. District formation summary report prepared by Young Summer LLC and Lamont Engineers. The report contains a summary of the sewer district and provides an explanation of the hookup fees and costs for residential and non-residential users in the sewer district. References a proposed sewer use law, a proposed sewer O&M budget, and proposed connection agreement between the Boyceville Sewer District and proposed Shokan Sewer District. Engineers report and plan entitled Preliminary Engineers Report, Community Wastewater Management Program for the Hamlet of Shokan, prepared by the Town of Olive by Lamont Engineers, detailing the wastewater needs of the Hamlet of Shokan and delineating the service area for the sewer district and the proposed treatment technology and locations. C, service map area. Identify the boundaries of the proposed sewer district, which includes tax map numbers of the parcels that will be included in the proposed sewer district. The costs of forming the sewer district and designing, permitting, and constructing infrastructure are funded pursuant to the CWMP. The town will not incur any expense in the formation of the sewer district and the construction of the public improvements, if any, to be constructed within the sewer district. During the process to form the sewer district, the town board reserves the right to modify the boundaries of the proposed district to address the concerns raised during the public comment period and to serve the best interest of the town. 3, a copy of the engineer's report and plan, service area map, and a detailed explanation of the cost to each residential and non-residential landowner shall be placed in the town's clerk's office and made available for public inspection. 4, that the town board shall meet at the town hall in Shokan on the 4th day of April 2022 at 7:15 p.m. for the purpose of conducting a public hearing on the proposal to establish said sewer district with the improvements specified above. Persons may appear individually or by agent and will be given the opportunity to present oral or written statements and to submit other documents concerning the project. And it is further that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish a copy of the order in the Kingston Daily Freeman, the official town newspaper, and post a copy of the same on the signboard of the town in the time and manner required by law. Whereupon the resolution was put to a vote, recorded as follows, and moves its adoption. Do I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion. Let's take a vote, please.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay, and I think I got one too many of those whereupons on there, so I'm gonna be
You
taking.
did.
one of those
I
out.
only read one.
So I'm
There
gonna
was a
take one
typo.
of them out when I do the final, just so
Okay.
that you guys know.
No problem.
Board Member Bogus,
Yes.
Board Member Kelder,
Yes.
Board Member Eddinger,
Yes.
Board Member Reed,
Yes.
and Supervisor DeFranco.
Yes. All right, thank you. We are wailing through this here. We had resolutions 34 and 36 of 2021 for premium pay, and whereupon we started to actually start the payment process and refer to that resolution, we realized that the totals, because we changed it around so many times before we got to this, the totals had errors in them. So rather than, the totals aren't even needed, it specifies each premium pay for each employee that was paid. I make a motion to amend resolutions 34 and 36 of 2021 for premium pay by deleting the total amount of premium pay on each resolution. Can I get a second?
I'll
All
second.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, okay.
All right, I just want to acknowledge that those resolutions are already in the minutes for December, so I will make a change in the minutes to reflect those changes.
Great, thank
And
you.
I
Doc.
will issue new resolutions to Jim.
Very good, thank you. Okay. I'm going to throw in another motion here for a motion to schedule a public information hearing on March 22nd, 2022 for the Shokan Sewer District and Sewer Use Law. Can I get a second to schedule that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Just a formality. Okay. Now we wanted to talk a little bit about the public alert system. I did want to update you. You had some concern, there was some concerns voiced after the meeting last night about the use system, and I did want to get some. It made me reach out to one of the groups that I liked best, and I had two concerns. One is the concern brought up by one of the board members about the implementation and how difficult or challenging that would be. Are we ready for it? And in the one alert system that Diane and I vetted these and we liked the best was Civic Ready. Get to there. And Civic Ready, I sent you guys an email late this afternoon. They brought out their implementation program, which is pretty extensive. It was one of the things we liked about Civic Ready because they assign you a person and they do training with the people that you designate. They make recommendations as to who should be doing this or not. And they recommend recommendations as to the structure of it. And then they also, make recommendations as to how your templates are designed. And they hold your hand through the entire process. In addition to having that personal engagement, there is also web seminars, tutorials that you can access and get training on it. And they also are available all of the time for calls if there's a question. The other thing that I was concerned about is, I looked at the other pricing and they were a little bit more expensive than the least expensive bid. We got 4 quotes and they were the second lowest. And they had a first year fee of $35.85 with 42 cents and an annual recurring fee in the second year of $2,737.66. And they had a third year. They initially had the second year that they would opt in if they needed to do a 3% increase. I was able to negotiate that out and put it to third year. But when thinking about that other contract that we got from Regroup, I asked them if they could also look at the numbers and see if they could give us a 3 deal, thinking that we have this ARPA money now and we could buy a 3-year deal. So they came back and they offered a 3-year contract for $8,214, which comes out to $2,738 a year for 3 years with no additional implementation fee. And I thought that was really a good deal and reasonable. So I'm going to open it up now. You've gotten the other quotes. We've seen the other companies. The reason that we liked Civic Ready was their customer service seems outstanding. The reviews were outstanding on the customer service. And, their implementation program seemed to be the best one that would help us as the first time users of a system like this. Comments?
So I shared all my concerns with the town board earlier. And the biggest question is, you know, the program could be great, but if we don't have somebody to run it or the policies in place to run it, it's going to fail. So my question is, who is going to run this program for us?
So my understanding of this program, without diving into the nuts and bolts of it deeply, was that you have a kind of master administrator, which I would say would be the supervisor who controls the flow of the information going out into the town. And then you have administrators who have access to put out alerts. And that would be department heads that you would designate: police department, highway department, supervisor's office, town clerk. And the idea is that we all get trained on that, how to do it, how to keep your messages short and concise, and start to create fields on what messaging you want to get out there. Maybe Gene has recreation as well and facilities. And then once the training happens and the implementation happens, I don't see this being, you're not going to get an alert every day. You're not going to be sending out an alert every day. This is for, public notification that really needs information that needs to get out in a timely fashion. So I don't see it in the longer term overwhelming the workforce. I think that it has benefits in that you make one text, one public alert with this, and you've notified whatever group you just designate, or whatever group they sign up for, or you designate like within your employees. You can, Brian could, send an alert out to all of his employees saying, we're coming in early at 4:00. We have a snowstorm. He could also put out, I'll use just the highway department as someone who might use this more than others. You might have road closings, and you might want to say, these 6 roads are closed during the ice storm. Now they're open. This one is closed on both ends. You can't get through. That information to the public is sometimes very critical and helpful in an emergency situation. I know I, for one, was after there was a windstorm, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, and I was coming on 28A across the reservoir, getting onto 28A, and there was a roadblock up, and I stopped there, and I said, well, how can I get around? And they said, well, you have to go around this way. I think that's the only way. And I go around that way, and that road was closed. And then I went up through Boyceville, and that road was closed. And it was like no one knew the information. And I've saw the similar thing during Hurricane Irene, when someone was stuck in West Shokan and didn't know where to go. So this isn't a thing that we're going to be doing every day, but when it's needed, it's very essential. It could also be something that in the pandemic, we've had experiences where we want to get information out to people. We have access to, there was a big demand for testing for a while and masks, and that was, out there. And at times we couldn't even give away the ones we had. And people would then come into the office to pay their tax bill going, I didn't know they were available. So we had it on our website. We didn't have the social media up yet. So I think it's something that I think we can deal with it. I think we can work it out. And I think we have to start somewhere. Because we have the funding opportunity now, I don't think we might not have this funding opportunity in another year or two. The budget might be tighter, and we might not want to allocate the money to it. But we have an opportunity now to make a 3-year deal and work out the glitches in it.
I'll just say I'm very much in favor of this. I like the 3-year deal with Civic Ready. And I think this is our best shot at being able to get information out to our citizens in a substantial number of people. I'm going to say probably a couple of thousand people we'll be able to communicate with instead of a few hundred the way we're doing it now. I don't see any other option we have as far as getting information out to people.
Agreed.
I'd also like to add that, Allison is on here, and she sent me an email earlier today asking about it. She saw it on it, and, she thought it was something good. And she talked about people that didn't know the firehouses were available for warming centers, and what's the distinction between a warming center and a shelter. And, there's information in times of need that people have. So It's definitely out there.
I'm completely in favor of it. I think that it's something we really need and we've needed for a while. And there are people that don't look at Facebook. There are people that, don't go online. If you have a system where you have a variety of ways that people can be contacted, that would be great. So, and it's much needed.
I've been pushing for this since long before I was on the board, talking to Sylvia when the county was looking at something. So I was going to try to help implement that. And it was next thing on the tech committee's schedule when I was heading that. So I'm definitely for it. I do agree wholeheartedly, though, with Scott that without good procedures, it will fail. So we still do need to definitely get that worked out.
Yeah.
I just want to chime in, Gene. So the points of notification for this particular tool is cell phone, email, and social media. Is that the notification?
And landlines.
Yeah, it'll do a voicemail, a robocall.
Yeah.
It'll do, okay, so that's what, because there is a larger segment in our town that most people don't realize that how many people are not connected to modern day technology. I happen to use cancellations.com for the day camp, but there's still a segment of my population that doesn't utilize smartphones or email. So if there is a mechanical phone, so to speak, portion of it, then I think it could be useful. But once again, my 2 cents and all my years of doing recreation stuff, people need to look for information. You don't necessarily always have to spoon feed them. If you use this tool to announce every meeting, I think you're setting yourself up to constantly have to feed information. I think it should be for an emergency situation or a special type of an announcement. I don't know if you want to get into the business of announcing every meeting, every public hearing, or that kind of thing. Just my recommendation.
So
I would agree with you.
I think that's absolutely right. And Jim already spoke to that. We don't want people to get alert burnout where they're getting a different alert every day. There's a meeting tonight. There's a meeting tomorrow night. That is not what it should be used for.
You still
However,
have to
in
get
special,
people to sign up though, too. That's going to be your hard part. They're going to have to come in and sign up. I know you're going to get your people like Mary Ann or Linda, some of the people that have second homes that like to have that information. I'm going to you might find it a little harder to get some of the other locals that even bother to sign up. I am signed up for Shandakins because I went up there and way back when and was brought it to the board. Shandakins thing when you guys didn't go with it. I brought it to the board. I signed myself up. I do get Shandakins alerts, and she does not use it willy-nilly. She does it for storms when they're coming in, and like when the COVID test kits were available, she did it for that. But the thing is, you just got to get people to sign up, and that may not, be the easiest thing to do.
so let me address that a little bit. The technology since Shandaken got it has improved dramatically. You can get an app on your phone and you can put it up to a screen that's on our website, and it automatically gives you the application form, and you do it from your phone. You can do it from your computer. You can, I believe, email in if you like.
We can also print out flyers with those little codes for the phone, put them at the transfer station, at the post office, and
yeah,
people
there's
just sign up
those
right
things
there.
can have
anywhere.
that, yeah. And in the implementation, there is public outreach from Civic Ready, helps you provide materials to reach out to the public. I'll go back to East Brunswick where my dad lived, and it happened to be one of the towns that got a referral. And I called the guy there, and we struck up a nice conversation because my dad lived a couple of houses away from the municipal building, and I had a best friend when I was talking to him. And he said, we have a population of 50,000 people. We have 38,000 people signed up for this. That's a huge part of their population. And he said it's the best thing we ever did. And it eliminates a lot of unnecessary phone calls and getting into the meeting thing. And yes, you don't want to put every meeting on the town on this thing and have it be overused. That has to be something needs to be understood, and we'll discuss as it evolves. However, if you choose, you could take something like Allison, who's concerned about the Shokan Sewer District, where you have an issue that needs public attention and you want to get public out to hear these things. You could put the Shokan Shore District as one of the things that you get notified on. When is their public meetings? What is happening? Links to things. So you can design this anyway. It's so custom. It's so ably customized that I don't see the downfall to it. And, if it gets to be too much, we cut back on it.
If you set up the categories correctly, then people will get as much or as little as they want. No category should have too many messages, but maybe we're getting out a lot of different messages between all the different departments and categories.
Ryan, what do you think about this? I haven't heard from you over here. You're sitting there pretty quiet.
I'm actually just taking it in, and it's good to hear all this. And I'll be honest with you, there definitely needs to be more outreach to the public during storm events. I think something like this, whether it's Facebook or this method of getting outreach in my world, are the highway department, whether it be normal construction on a daily basis, a road closure for a culvert pipe replacement, whether we're paving a couple days throughout the summertime and have a partial road closure. I think something like this nowadays is very important and necessary in whatever format. And I agree with Scott. It's got to be structured and the right people implementing in all areas, all departments. But certainly, I kind of feel there's got to be a better line of communication. And I said, just to speak from this past ice storm, I know there's been a lot of negative feedback. I said, I communicate, which Chris, our fire chief, works for me. And I said, we have a great line of communication throughout most storms with county and whatnot. And Jim and I have conversed throughout this ice storm, but there's certainly, I think there's room to improve in town. And I think this would be beneficial. Just hearing where it would be put out to in different areas, whether it be a text message or email or whatever. And I said, a lot of people have had what do I do if I have no power, and there's nothing on the radio, this and that, and you hear all different aspects of it. And I think we're at a point in the town of Olive that we got to get the outreach out there, and especially from my standpoint, I communicate with the county 911 center when we do any type of whether it's a road closure for a 4-hour period for a culvert pipe replacement or a paving project or whatever it might be. It's I communicate in that manner, but it's not out there. And if this is something that people could reference, I think would be beneficial to the townspeople and neighboring towns, all our surrounding towns, and a lot of our projects and it may be something on a town line or what we notify, and our emergency service people, they're in communication all the time, which is fantastic. And but certainly I think there's definitely room for improvement in communication in town and making everybody aware, so it's not a shock, a surprise. And there's a lot of new people in town that aren't used to the old school methods, so it's time to I feel get it out there,
The other thing that was pointed out to me by different people that we researched this with was the people that are elderly or live on their own or have some kind of issue that makes it more difficult for them to get out. Very often they have relatives that are out of town, and the relatives sign up for these alerts to know that what's going on that could be of concern to their loved ones at any given time.
Yeah. The only thing I want to kind of bring up too, and I've experienced this this ice storm, and I brought this up in I think a couple town board meetings. I said the public, where the liability would stand for opening a road or closing a road, whether you're clearing the lines, I think it's a tough area. I experienced, I don't know how many people, a woman, and her husband walking a dog over live wires potentially, you know, and for me to deem a road open after, I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I'm not going to stick my neck out there and say road is clear, you know. I think this has got to be discussed and amongst all areas, emergency services, the town board moving forward in this. I think there's a tremendous liability that goes along with it.
Brian, I did mention I've been bringing this up to the county at different places, and we had the supervisors meeting this morning, and I did bring up the idea of having a debriefing for the supervisors that was accepted, and that'll be happening at some point. And one of the issues I brought up was that you know, we're out here, we have these events. You know, this was a very localized storm. It wasn't widespread. So, you know, they were able to respond fairly quickly in great force, and they all did a great job. But, you know, if the ability to send out someone to communicate with the Central Hudson, to be able to tell our road crews while they're on the site that line is dead and they can remove trees and get it out there, so they don't have to wait 3 days to get that communication.
Yeah.
That's something that, you know, that's a little bit of a glitch in the system that could help our road crews tremendously.
I was on a Microsoft meeting the other day as well in Central Hudson and our Ulster County Highway Superintendents, and that was something I raised up as well. And we've had select individuals from Central Hudson in the past to kind of deem wires dead, and we can move them out of the road and make that road passable. And I said, that's something, and I think you're referencing as well, would be beneficial if we could just get a representative out. A lot of times it's not, it could be just a top of a tree and easily moved, and we can open that road for the public, for school buses, and we can deem that road open, you know. And I think that would be super beneficial, and it's happened here and there in the past, but I think that would be fantastic if we could get somebody to deem a road from a power standpoint and from a safety standpoint, and say, hey, we can safely open this road, you know. But certainly I think getting the public outreach, I think we have to have some better form of communication moving forward here to the townspeople.
Okay.
And
Anyone else want to comment on this before we vote?
This is Allison. I just wanted to say, the highway guy, I don't know your name, but thank you so much for the really great job that you guys did with the ice storm. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Allison. Okay.
Is there a way, can I just ask you, when you're talking about these things, is there a way to do it, to tell people ahead of time what things might be, you know, just in case you can't get people? Because what happened, like, if you have this system, I would like to get it with an email, but like if I have an ice storm, then I don't have anything. I just have my little Verizon Princess phone. That's it. And I would want to go that way.
If you have,
you know what I mean? Like, will there be flexibility? And, you know, like if you tried to email me, I will never know.
You have the choice to sign up for any one of the ways of getting contacted.
No, but I'm saying, I would always pick email, but sometimes the email might not work. And my friend might pick phone, but if there's a, you know, Spectrum, she's a Spectrum phone and it goes down. So there might be, if you guys, when you set it up, have different categories of, like, if it's a public message, just like any old, you know, hi, we're having a meeting a month from now, then one way, versus an emergency, you might want it another way.
You're going to have to decide that when you sign up.
But you can sign up for multiple methods.
You want to receive it on, and that's up to you. And
okay,
that's
as long
your
as
responsibility.
You could sign up for more than one method.
Oh yeah, you can sign up for all the
and
methods.
an email. You know, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Okay, I just, when you were talking about it, it sounded like it was more set, but it sounds flexible.
No, it's you can sign up for all of them. Yeah. Okay. I do want to move on. We've had our public hearing. I can't take much time on this. We're 2 hours into it already.
It's 9 o'clock.
Jim, I'll make a motion to authorize supervisor to sign a contract with Civic ready for 3 years at the 8214 price.
And I'll
Okay.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hey, we got it. All right, thank you, everyone. All right. The next thing is that let's talk about Maverick West and New Vance, the building in Boyceville. That building has been approved by the town board previously for eligibility, and we allowed them to enter into the New York City funded flood buyout program. We did delay the appraisal process because we were trying to work and find an alternative location for New Vance to relocate to, and even to attract other investors in medical providers into providing a facility somewhere either in Olive or in Shandaken to have this medical care available to rural Western Ulster County residents, and in addition residents in Delaware, Schoharie, and Greene counties. So what we're going to do here is New Vance has sent their letter. They're moving out on March 7th. I did get an email from Brian Callahan the other day in response to New Vance's letter, and he is resigning his position from New Vance. He gave a 90-day notice, and he intends to be working in Phoenicia in the facility that the Medical Associates of the Hudson Valley has there. He feels that
As of early April.
okay, that will be a temporary location for him until they can find something bigger, hopefully. That's kind of the long-term goal and hope. It's not written in stone, but that's what he's hoping. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the New York City DEP, proceed with the appraisal process for the Maverick West buyout in the New York City funded flood buyout program. Can I get a second for that?
I'll second.
Any conversation about that anymore? You guys want to talk about that at all? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed. Okay. Thank you. And also, you all saw the 2022 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan that was updated with new information and kind of gone over for some different things throughout it. It was reviewed quite extensively, and we have it updated with all the new names and phone numbers in it for contact. I'd like to make a motion to approve the updated 2022 Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Well, now we're cruising along. Okay. Brian has a laptop for the highway department that is quite old, and he got a quote to purchase a new laptop computer from HRT for $1,746.87. Can I get a motion to approve the purchase of that laptop computer?
I'll make a motion to. I'll second.
You get that, Dawn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Flying here. Brian submitted to us a invoice or a quote, I'm sorry, for a truck plow for $11,364 for a highway department truck. This was budgeted, right, Brian, I believe?
Yes,
Yep.
it was.
In the 2022 budget. Can I get a motion to approve the purchase of the truck plow for that amount?
I'll move.
Motion.
I'll second.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Stick with me here now. Simon Gruber has done some consulting for us on the ARPA money and its eligibility under the Clean Water Act law and New York State's agencies that deal with that. This was to give us a little bit of background and documentation if we choose to use that money for projects that might be deemed eligible for that. In light of his research, it took him, and in light of the final rule changing in the middle of this, he wanted a little bit more time to complete that, and he asked us if we could extend the term of that contract to the end of February 2022 without any existing cost. Can I get a motion to extend that contract?
I'll make a motion to extend the contract.
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye, thank you.
Hey, Jim, I've got a.
Any
quick
opposed?
question.
No. Yes.
I've got a quick question. If you don't think it's out of line, see if what Simon's thoughts are on using money from the ARPA for what Cynthia's doing. You know, she talked about wanting to extend the program, or the high school wants to extend the program into next year. I was just wondering if we could use ARPA money to pay for some of that.
That wasn't under the scope of his work to study that.
Okay.
It might be, I don't know. We have other projects involved with that that we've been looking at in terms of building. There's a,
right.
This is
I wasn't thinking of spending much money, a few thousand, if it was possible.
Let's see how that goes. I feel like that's an unfolding event with the new properties coming into play, and
right.
some of them being deconstructed as soon. So maybe let's see how it plays out.
All right.
Drew, do you want to introduce local law number 1 of 2022?
Yes. So we talked about local law number 1 for 2022 last night. It's modifying Chapter 48, the officers and employees section of our code, Article 4, the residency requirements. I sent all of you the local law a couple of weeks ago. We did not alter it since then, so that's kind of like your formal introduction to the law. And I guess, and if nobody's got any questions, what I would like to do is see if we can schedule a public hearing for it at our audit meeting for March, maybe at 7 or 6:45.
Dawn, does that fit in our meeting schedule with these other meetings we have?
Yes, we don't have anything scheduled for, I would say the audit meeting would be the best day to do that, so that you can then vote on the law the next night if you wanted to, since it's very simple changes. I don't think it'll take that long.
That would be March 7th, right? For the
Yeah.
for public hearing?
I believe so. Hold on, let me look at my calendar. Yes, that would be March 7th. Drew can make a motion to do that. That would be great. You'd need a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we have a public hearing on the local law number 1 for 2022 at 6:45 on March 7th, just prior to our audit meeting.
And I'd like you to, I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to get that amended code chapter to be put on the website as soon as we can get that together. Okay, so the public can see what we're doing.
Yes, I will work on getting it as, setting it up as the local law and getting it onto the website and get the public hearing notice out.
Great, thank you, Dawn.
Great.
Okay. Getting back to some planning issues here. We discussed this last night to change the, first of all, review and to change the amend the Town of Olive procurement policy and procedures as follows. And this is about using professional services and aligning ourselves a little bit more with the state, which has no dollar amount in having to go out for proposals for professional services. Our procedures said we did. So very often we are engaged with a company on a basis where they become so well versed in the company or they're in the process of a goal that it doesn't make sense to have to go out for an RFP in the middle of that process. And then sometimes that process takes 2 or 3 years or more. So I'd like to make a motion to amend guideline number 6, section I of the professional services under $20,000 in the Town of Olive procurement policy and procedures. I'd like to amend that to what's written here is quote, professional services and insurance can involve significant dollar expenditures. Therefore, it is in the town's best interest to review professional services over $20,000 annually and solicit proposals for those professional services. Professional services deemed unnecessary for the solicitation when in the best interest of the town must have prior town board approval. Can I get a second on that motion?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good, thank you. The ZBA was, the secretary of the ZBA contacted me and asking that the ZBA has requested that they have some legal counsel to advise them on a proceeding coming before the ZBA. And I did some research. I talked to our town attorney. He wasn't available to do it. He didn't feel adequately, versed in that law to do it. And we used John Lyons from Rhinecliff as an attorney in a previous planning board issue. And he came highly recommended from the town of Woodstock. So I make a motion to hire land use attorney John Lyons from Rhinecliff, New York, at a rate of $175 per hour to consult with the ZBA on an issue currently before them. And can I get a second for that?
I'll second.
And before we vote on, I just want to let you know that, I did talk to the chair of the ZBA, and this is for just a review of the situation and to advise them on different perspectives of it. This is not, he doesn't see this being a long-term engagement. And we do have, while we have in our code, in our planning part of the code, a reimbursement for an applicant, we do not have that in the ZBA. And after we talk to Mr. Lyons and he talks to the ZBA, we may want to reconsider that in the future. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. I'd also like to make a motion to award the proposal for the energy audit to ESC for $2,300. This would be paid for by the monies that were awarded the town through the grant that the Olive Conservation Advisory Council obtained. We solicited 2 companies. We only received 1 quote from ESC. So can I get a second to award that proposal?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, loader tires for the transfer station. Brian went out and Bruce went out and got some quotes on new tires for the loader. You remember we got these, when we got this loader a few years ago, it was in need of tires. And I think it's been something they constantly have to deal with. And I think the day has come to buy new tires for the loader. We looked at different tires and the prices were all over the map. And I even asked them, what about foam? And foam costs, filling the foam in the tires preserves the tires for the life of the tire, or, and it was more than the tire. So we decided to just go with the ply tire. And so I make a motion to approve the purchase of 4 loader tires for $40,500 for the transfer station loader. Can I get a second for that?
Can I just, is that like installed, or how do we actually get them on the machine? Do we have
That's
to?
a damn good question. Brian, you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, it is. It's installed. The quotes that we got was from Rick's Tire that we've dealt with in the past years ago. They put tires on our grader. I think it was last year, we put, or a year before, tires on our backhoe. There's a $50 fee for coming down, which is nothing.
That's nothing.
And it's a no-brainer. They come and they do a great job, and they do it every day, and they're in and out of there in a short time. They'll come right to the transfer station site with a service truck and go right on site.
Excellent. Thank you.
That fee is in on the invoice, on the estimate. It's
on
included in that price. Yeah.
that $50 fee, and then there's O-rings.
Yeah, there's O-rings, then that's $50. So it was $4,400 at $1,100 a piece for the tires, and then 50 for the O-rings and 50 for the service call.
Right.
Okay. That's great.
That would be
Great.
Thank you.
Did I make a motion for that?
Yeah, but we
I
have.
make a motion to approve the purchase of those 4 loader tires for $4,500 for the transfer station loader from Rick's Tires. Did I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Come on, we're almost halfway done.
Yeah.
Almost.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Sorbellini has done some research with Brian, and they have looked at pickup trucks for the Parks Department. We've been talking about this for a while, and the time has come because they found a pickup truck, which is rare these days. And we looked at this last night, and I'm going to make a motion that we approve the purchase of a 2022 Ram $2,500 tradesman pickup truck for $45,897 for the Parks Department. Can I get a second for that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Hey,
I need a sip of water. Committee.
Jim, I got a
commission-
quick question, Jim.
Yes.
Yesterday, you sent us a quote for the fencing for the Grand Avery. Are we
Yes.
going to do that tonight, or are we putting it off?
I felt that because that's an insurance reimbursement, I didn't need the town board approval for it.
Oh, okay.
But
right.
if you want to make a motion, we can do that.
I don't care. I just knew it wasn't on here. That's all.
I'll make the motion so it's formal in case it comes up. Why not?
All right. I don't remember the dollar amount, but anyway, make a motion that we allow the replacement of the fencing in is it Grand Avery Park? I believe?
Grand Avery Park tennis courts.
Tennis court
I
fencing.
believe it was Anchor Fencing.
Correct. Anchor fencing out of Tilson, $8,900.
8,900. Okay.
Bloomington.
Very good.
Your second.
I second that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you, Drew. All right, committees, commissions, and department reports. Cable franchise, nothing going on there except that the county is looking at, told me they're going to be looking at the countywide mapping and updating it with the towns in the hope that maybe there is infrastructure money coming down the park, down the way to maybe complete the build out in the county. Parks and Recs, Scott.
I'll be quick. We had a very interesting meeting, talk about summer programs. Big consensus was that we're underpaying our lifeguards and that we should increase their hourly rates. So it was a pretty long, some conflicts of opinion about that issues, but we'll see where we end up with applicants and pressure to find applicants.
Okay. Be great to have that conversation before the budget.
Before the budget, yeah.
So Gino and I think we're in good shape. You know, we bumped them through the years, but you know, we just don't know what kind of competition is going to be out there.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. You know, if there's some, you know, we'll see what the budget is and what our program ends up being.
I don't know if Gino's got anything to add.
Anything else?
No, the only thing we've established the date for day camp, God willing, you know, there's no restrictions. So the dates are formalized. I'm working on the booklet now. Like I said, hopefully we're a go for normal day camp season this year. And, you know, same with the pool. So we're all set. You know, all the background work is starting to be done now with the hopes of a normal summer.
Great. Thank you, Gene. Highway Superintendent Brian Burns.
I don't
Don't
have.
tell
a-
us about the ice storm again. We already got there.
Man, no, I don't have a tremendous amount. It's been busy. The guys have been doing a great job. We've had a tremendous amount of, I'll call them nuisance storms, ice and whatnot, and small storms. But we've been going through the material. We're in really good shape going into the end of winter. I think the next week or two here, we're transitioning. So I'm hoping. You never know. The end of the month in March, you never know. But we're in good shape as far as that goes. Doing whatever we can with tree work and whatnot, and now we're playing catch up. A lot of our neighboring towns, Woodstock, West Hurley, Marbletown, really got hit hard with this. I just want to convey to the board our neighboring township, Shandaken, reached out to me if we needed any help with cleanup, with a chipper or whatnot. And we're with the snow and whatnot, I did not accept we're doing okay right now, but a lot of our neighboring towns, definitely Marbletown, Hurley, town of Ulster, a lot of them has been really hit hard, and a lot of them are reaching out to get all the help they can get to get their roads back in order. But it was certainly a devastating storm, and we fared pretty well, and our cleanup's going pretty well. We got pretty much half the town back in order as far as tree cleanup. Or Shokan Boyceville side is done, and we're heading through the rest of West Shokan, Olive Bridge, Sampsonville right now. So hopefully by the end of the week, beginning of next, we'll be back in order. And I think we got some good weather coming. But I just wanted to bring up, Jim, we sent an email over to you. I don't know if you got it or not in time there, that Oshkosh that I just purchased that truck to replace. I'd like to put that on Auctions International when a new truck goes in service. And I just love to have the board's approval to put that on the auction site whenever the new truck goes in service.
You need that now, tonight?
It doesn't have to be. It would be great as we're closing winter to maybe see the thing go. I don't expect a lot of money out of it. It's a 1978 truck. It served us well, but I'd love to see it go this time of year.
I'll make that motion now.
I know it was late. I apologize. I forgot last night. I'll be honest with you. And but anyway, I hate to spring it up, but like I said, if we can get a couple grand back out of it, other than
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I make a motion that we allow Brian to put the Oshkosh 1978 Oshkosh onto Auction Internationals for sale. We had a second from Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I do want to give a shout out to you, Brian. I think all of you know that we had a generator in the town office that failed on Sunday, and Brian was very helpful in ascertaining that failure and also working with our generator service provider, Dwight from Capital Generator, who also did a great job and came down here from Albany within 2 or 3 hours. And he did a fantastic job. That was diagnosed as having a rear seal failure that deposited about 3 gallons of oil on the bottom of that thing. So he's working on following through under that repair, and it is under warranty. But Brian also was also instrumental in the following day when the generator at the wastewater treatment plant wasn't shutting off, and the fuel was getting low, and we were told that we couldn't get a fuel delivery. And Brian and I got together, and he pumped some fuel into the truck, his truck, in the fuel tank, the spare fuel tank. And we went over there and deposited a number of gallons of fuel. And then we went and refilled the tank with Barry's credit card, so we didn't have to deal with a lot of transfer of funds. So it worked out really nicely. And I wanted to thank Brian for going out and doing that extra work for the town. It was very nice of you, Brian. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Good job.
All right. Police Commission. Mr. Bodgers.
Yeah, the police commission did meet last night. There was only one member there available because of the delay from the previous week. And they're going to meet. We realized last night that we had a couple of conflicts with the town board So I sent an email off to Rebecca this morning about changing a couple of dates for the police commission. So their next meeting will actually be the 28th of this month. Dawn, did you get a report from Sean? You want to go through it or just put it in?
Yeah,
the-
I'll go real quick. Total for January 63, they had 6 vehicle accidents, 2 burglar alarms, 3 animal complaints, 11 medical assists, 16 vehicle operation complaints, 4 welfare check, 384 security check, 2 vehicle lockout, 3 911, 911 hang up, 1 domestic dispute, 4 suspicious activity, 2 erratic vehicles, 3 paper served, 1 harassment, 2 other agency assist, 1 neighbor dispute, 1 fraud, 3 COPP, road hazards, 3 found property, 2 disabled vehicles, 2 and trespass, 1 9 tickets, and 2 arrests, warrants for other agencies.
Thank you, Doug.
2 other things. The police car that was ordered last year is still not in.
Wonder about that.
I didn't get a good read from Sean about when they're actually going to get it. He said he would definitely get a feedback to the police commission about when that's going on. I don't know quite what. I know part of the delay was Sean actually didn't order it until around September. I think he was supposed to order it around, I'll say May or June, and it didn't get ordered until September, but it's just taken forever. And the other thing on the table is the police department wants to replace their pistols. And that's a big discussion right now with the police commission about the need to do that. But there, so anyway, that's something that you may hear about.
Okay. I'd also like to make a note of where we're looking at. I know you have a meeting scheduled for February 28th, I'm sorry, which I guess is the last day of February. And I'm intending to open up the meetings to in-person meetings on March 1st. So I would allow the police commission to meet in person on February 28th. I think they're the only meeting scheduled for the end of the month.
I will let them know
public
that.
meeting. And I did send a directive around to people. I think I sent it to the town board too on the newer guidelines that we're keeping till March. I'll send that out. And what that basically is that if you have, I changed the guidelines this week to masks are required in the town facilities if you can't maintain a 6-foot distance. The public, engaging with the public, you're required to have masks. If there's town employees are allowed to ride in vehicles unmasked with other employees if they keep a window open. And I'm trying to think what else was in it. Public meetings require masks if 6-foot distancing can't be maintained. So when we have our town board meeting and we have people there, when we're talking about these when we have these public hearings and things, we're probably gonna have a lot of people and that'll be masked. If you have your police commission meeting and there's 4 or 6 of you people sitting in a room and you can spread out, then you don't need a mask. That's kind of where I'm headed right now. I'm watching the numbers. Some towns are keeping strict mask mandates, others are loosening up entirely. I look at our numbers and they're getting better and they're staying better. If they stay better, we can move on and make a change in March 1st. Okay. Dawn, you have more stuff from your?
Yes.
Okay.
Town clerk's office took in property taxes of $7,373,947.71. So we've met the tax warrant for the supervisor's office. The rest of it was, we took in $16,586.84. I have the first aid squad, 44 calls, 19 to Shokan, 11 to Olive Bridge, 7 to Boysville, 2 to West Hurley, 2 to West Shokan, 1 to Hurley, 1 to Cranston, and 1 to Shandaken. Bear with me a second. I got the fire company had January calls. There was 3, 4, 5, 6 mutual aids, 7 automatic alarms, 2 smoke investigation, 2 wires down, 9 EMS assist, 1 carbon monoxide, 1 control burn, and 1 landing zone for a total calls of 29. And I have Barry's report here, so that's available in the office. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. David, Scenic Byway.
They had a meeting, but work blew up on me and I wasn't able to attend, and I haven't got the minutes yet. From the agenda, they were still mostly talking about Roxbury and West Hurley joining the byway, getting funding and doing marketing.
Okay.
So the same as usual.
Thank you.
Great. Vicky, OCAC.
The OCIC met on January 12th and on February 9th. They have a couple of people who've expressed interest in joining the board to fill the opening to replace Don Martini. And their goal is to be able to make recommendation for the March board meeting. They are planning I sent you information. It was for informational purposes only about this educational program that they're going to have on June 14th at the library about energy efficiency workshop. They're also discussing, and they met with the Boyceville Visioning, or part of the Boyceville Visioning group, to talk about creating pollinator pathways in the future, which would include the Boyceville property. And Joe Ostrander is volunteering her property for a pollinator garden for the OCAC.
Great.
And
Let's hope we have a maintenance schedule for that.
yes, they're hoping to get some kids to volunteer to help with maintenance from the visioning group or from the high school.
Okay.
Let's-
Yeah, that thing with the energy workshops, we've had that before with the OCAC. We had it at the library a few years ago. I don't have a problem with that. I know they want to use a little bit of the money that they got in that grant, so we'll keep a tab of the money in the grant for promotional for that. So, I don't have a problem with that. Anybody else? I mean, we're not at a point of making a motion. We don't know what they're going to spend it on, but I just
right. The expense would be for the letter and the mailing that they wanted, the notification sent out to folks. And I actually do think it would be a benefit to members of the community to access this service. So that's it.
Okay, great. Zoning, Drew.
The zoning committee will meet Thursday this week. What I'm hoping to get out of that meeting is, I'll say, a reasonably finalized version of the STR law.
Yes.
If that happens, well, let me back up because some of the town board may not know. After our last town board meeting where we discussed the STR law, I got with Diana and she and I modified the STR law to most of the comments coming from the town board and the public. So what I'm hoping is the zoning committee can look at that and either make corrections, add a few things. And Jim did have a few comments to make about it also that after that meeting, and I've got those on the agenda for Thursday. So my hope would be that we come up with a final second version of the STR law that we can maybe introduce at the March meeting, and then have a public hearing in either April or May. And get that off of our plate. I think it addresses a lot of the comments that people made specific to the actual law and the comments from the town board. I think that's it.
Okay.
Jim, I want to bring up one thing back to the sewer, the resolution we passed for the seeker on the declaring ourselves as lead agency.
Yes.
The list of involved or interested people or agencies that I think Kevin Young and company supplied you, there's errors on that list. So before anybody sends them out, that list needs to be looked at closer to make sure that they're accurate. For instance, your address on there is wrong.
Okay,
They have David Sorbellini as the chairman of the planning board.
right.
They have information about Dennis Doyle that's incorrect. And I don't
And
know
which
about,
exhibit is that? Is that one exhibit?
I think it's Exhibit A.
Okay, I'll look at it.
All right. But I would
Um,
just say it before you mail things out to people saying, hey, we're going to be lead agency, we need to make sure those addresses are right and the people are right.
Right, okay, yeah, yeah.
I sent
all
an
right, I'll
email
send-
to Allison about it, but she may not do anything with it.
No, she should. That's her job.
Okay.
Okay. She does
All right,
all the
I'm
work
good.
there.
I'm done.
Okay, good point. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Scott.
Didn't officially meet, but I've been doing some background work, trying to get some construction costs for the highway garage. Got a little bit of information, but some vendors or people I speak to are not upfront about sharing and waiting for some phone calls. I think we may have to look at Sourcewell to, we have a design and get some help putting it out there to get some bids on this.
Okay, I'll look into that probably next week.
So otherwise, I think we're just going to stall on the water here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I also was talking to March Gallagher at the comptroller's office, and we had a conversation about, it would be really helpful for towns to get a sense of infrastructure funding and when it's going to hit the state and the counties and come down into the towns, if at all. And, because that is something that could change our decision on how we go about financing or using funding for this from ARPA. That's another player in this, whether we go out for a loan, so it is, I'm pressing them to get some information from us if they can. All right, what else do we have? That's it. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn in memory of the following Town of Olive residents who passed away, unfortunately, in the last month. We had Jacob Armstrong, young man, Catherine Chapman, Ellen Iwanowski, Ellen, Donna M. Keefe, Bert Ketchum, an old friend of mine, LeGrand Schultes, and Mary Ulmer and Clark Elmer. So I make a motion.
And
You
Terrence
forgot,
O'Brien.
Oh, and
You
James
forgot
Wilson, I
to-
forgot him.
Terrence O'Brien.
and Terrence O'Brien.
Was that in there?
Yes,
No,
it
I
is.
don't have an obit for him, but he's on the
Oh,
bottom
okay,
of
and
the
Dennis
agenda.
O'Brien, I'm sorry, jeez.
He's on the agenda.
Yeah.
And Dennis O'Brien, okay, thank you. Terrence O'Brien,
Terrence.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Gosh, all right, I make a motion to adjourn in memory of those past residents.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. I'm sorry, the meetings will not be this long going into the future. But I'm not going to promise, all right?
Good night, everybody.
Have a good
Good night.
night. Thank you again. I appreciate your time and input.